This train is going to run fast because I understand that you all have come from work. Some of you are tired, and I can't say how much more I appreciate you all. And I know that we do have some important dignitaries in our midst, and as they keep coming, and as I am so informed, I will let you all know who is in our midst tonight. Let me start by saying that we do have a representative of the Embassy of Nigeria, and the person of Madame Fatima Ojeko. If you're here, you can stand. Please, let's help welcome her. The representative of the Kingdom of Lesotho, the ambassador, is he here? I call his name, or when it comes to recognize him. We also have Council Member Will Joando. Is Will in the house? He's just walking. I didn't hear the who. Come on, this is the African advisory, okay? All right, we also have in the house Council Member Hawker. Leave it up for Council Member Hawker. We also have the leadership of Montgomery.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I know you have other things you could have been doing, but coming here shows that you truly are lovers of Africa, and we welcome you from the bottom of our heart, and thank you. This has been a challenging one, but it has also been very fruitful in the sense that we have been able to forge relationship with the other advisory groups, the Latin American, African American, Middle Eastern, Asian, and Pacific, and we can attest to that. All of them are represented here today. We've reached out our hands to them, and they have welcomed us, just like we've welcomed them. Though we have various objectives, but our main objective has always been to make sure that each of our communities is empowered, and we will do that together collectively as well as individually. Also, with the non-profit organizations, we've been able to reach out to them, like TASSC, International Watch Democracy Go. CASA has even helped one of our members, and we look forward to cooperating with many of the other NGOs. We welcome them, and please feel free to always approach us. If you need anything from us, we will be willing to assist. And also for the community, we've been able to reach out to them, and they've now, we've recruited quite a lot than previous years, because now they feel at home, they feel that they're part, they're stakeholders, and they have been attending, and I hope it will continue. But also, if we want to make Montgomery County great and to have an impact as an African, we need to also participate in the system. And one of them we can do is the census. The census is coming, and make sure that you go out and talk to your neighbors, friends, relatives, to make sure that they do fill out those forms. Thank you, and let me pass it on to my colleague.
Thank you again. As Rashida mentioned, it's been a challenging and also very exciting year. Last year around this time, when we came to the leadership, it feels like we were walking to the unknown, mainly because it was the last year of the previous administration. In the entirety of the AG's existence, we've been working with the previous county executive. But this time around, when we come, we were also expecting a new county executive. We don't know who is coming to the office. And that was...
I was the co-chair in 2010 of the African Affairs Advisory Group. I'm standing in for Mr. Waldo, who couldn't join us this evening, to just give a rundown of some of our accomplishments over the years. As most of you might know, we were constituted as an advisory group back in 2008. But prior to that, the African community had been working closely with the African American community, and eventually, just with the understanding that we do have our unique needs as other immigrants, we fought very hard.
Work, and also what our direction for the office is moving forward. I know the theme of the evening is a new beginning, but I would like to call it the next chapter, because a new beginning means that we are starting over. And as you've heard, I'd like to call it the next chapter because we already have a very solid foundation that was started by the previous administration and the previous African advisory group members. And actually, I'd like to take a moment to recognize all African Affairs Advisory Group members, both present and past. So if you could please stand up.
Please, let's stand and be counted. Anytime we're not counted, we are losing money, we're losing services, and also we could lose seats as a county. So we need to be counted. Thank you very much. First, I would like to recognize our county executive, our council members, special guests, representative of the embassies, and all guests here, community members. Thank you for coming, and thank you for honoring our invitation. So today, I am very honored to be here, and I stand on behalf of the African community to welcome you for the 11th proclamation of the African Heritage Month. Welcome, thank you for coming. So Montgomery County celebrates diversity. Montgomery County was the first in the entire nation to proclaim September as the African Heritage Month. Did you all know that? But let me pause for a minute. With everything that goes on around the world, how many times do you turn on your TV, local or international news, and see people celebrating diversity? You can raise your hand. He has taken what was built and is working to make it stronger. You all know what has been going on the whole summer. Children come home, don't find their parents. African communities live in fear. But we have seen true leadership. Executive orders have been signed. We thank you. We need to clap for that. Thank you. Executive order to promote community trust and protect immigrant families is something that we cannot take for granted. So African community is committed to support the vision to ensure that Montgomery County is going to be a more inclusive and equitable Montgomery County. I stand here to welcome for the very first time in our community, our county executive, His Excellency Mark Owens. Thank you.
Happy to be here. I'll just tell you a little bit about what my perception of what I want to have happen with Office of Community Partnerships. When I came in, I wanted to strengthen the communication both from the county into the community. I didn't feel that enough of what we do is getting out to the community. You're best liaisons for getting that message into the community. You can do it better than we can do it because in your ties in your community are stronger than if the government just issues a proclamation, shows up here, if you happen to see it. That's not enough. So I want to build relationships, both bringing information into the community, but then bringing information back to the community. The real value of having this touch in the community is to find out what you think and what are your concerns and what can we do better. I've had a lot of times people ask me, what was I going to do? and you could name the group. And I would say, look, I think I got good instincts, but I don't walk in your shoes. So I can tell you what I think I can do for you, but I really need to hear from you. I shouldn't be the one deciding what to do. I may have the ultimate control over purse strings, and money is always a limiting factor. My ambitions vastly exceed the treasury. But at the end of the day, what direction we take and the issues we work on and what we value needs to be the things that you tell us you want us to value and you want us to work on. So I want to build stronger relationships with the community. I want to make sure that you hear us and we hear you. I've done, I guess, 3 events tonight over here. On Saturday morning, I was in Arlington with the annual Eid celebration, which was really, really nice. And earlier in the week, I'd been at the Ethiopian celebration, and I'll be back at another one of those, and then the Panafest. I mean, the African community is really a vital part of Montgomery County. I have ties that are closer. My son-in-law is a Nigerian immigrant. He was from the Delta State, which I had to explain to Nina, your issues. So he came over here when he was 9 years old. I've got 4 grandchildren. So I have ties into this world that are just they're part of my life. And it really is important to me. When I was a college student in the 60s, I studied, anybody know who Frantz Fanon is? So I studied Frantz Fanon and decolonization of the Third World, African revolutionary movements, economics in Southern Africa. So I was very interested in this back in the 60s because I was one of those people who supported the liberation of Africa from the Western colonial powers. And I thought that even as a kid, which always could get you in trouble back in the 60s, I sided on the side of revolutionary movements because everybody in the world had the right to be free. Everybody in the world had the right to throw off colonialism. And so, the state of Africa and the liberation of the African countries was a really great moment. And I used to love, my father collected stamps, and so he had an amazing collection of those colonial stamps. But I loved it when they started getting the new stamps from the new countries. And then I had to try to figure out which new country matched which former colonial country. So I have a little history and a little, long-term commitment to this and a personal connection to this. I want to thank Harriet for your very gracious introduction, and I look forward to working with you. I want to thank the co-chairs for getting through the year. I am sorry that people had anxiety over what I was going to do. I heard this a lot. I only wish somebody had come and asked me. And it's like I had no intention of getting rid of this. I mean, I recognize that Ike Leggett built a legacy, a set of programs that built relations with the community that were unlike anything we had had before. I had no intention of dismantling it. I wanted to make it stronger, so I see myself as continuing in his footsteps. I'm not replacing him. I'm taking the work he did and trying to extend it deeper, and we've got time to do that. And I know that these are the kind of issues that the county council is going to embrace as well. You've got a diverse council. You've got except for women, I got to say that, but basically diverse, and you've got people who have ties to the community and understand the value of community. And so I don't see those things changing. I think that's going to continue. I want to thank the gentleman who spoke for Elias Waldo, because it was really good to hear your history. I had not heard that before of the organization, so that's helpful for me to have a perspective. And I really want to thank Diane Doe. She was around in the office during my transition, and she was so tied to people and so committed to people that I wanted her to be the next director of this office. I saw in her somebody who really cared about the mission of this organization and could represent and work with everybody. I'm really proud of the work she's being done, and I think you all should give her a hand. Okay. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas Montgomery County and surrounding jurisdictions have become the primary point of entry for African families coming to the United States, including the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and whereas the history of the United States is a rich and enduring tapestry woven by the threads of many remarkable lives, cultures, and events. The lives, work, and artistry of ethnic Africans have added strength, vitality, and purpose to that tapestry. And whereas the maturing ethnic African community continues to make great economic and cultural contributions to daily life in the United States, particularly in Montgomery County. Whereas our nation thrives as a country of immigrants, take note, and we are more vibrant and hopeful because of the talent, faith, and values of the ethnic Africans who have enriched our society and added to the strength of America. And whereas during African Heritage Month, we celebrate the contribution of ethnic Africans and pay tribute to the culture and bonds of friendship that unite the United States and the African countries. And whereas, as ethnic African immigrants arrive, they have planted the seeds of their traditions and values into our country's culture and society, and have strengthened our community through significant perspective experiences and cultural development. Now therefore do I, Mark Elrich, as County Executive, hereby proclaim September 2019 is African Heritage Month in Montgomery County. I encourage all our residents to celebrate the vibrant cultural and heritage of ethnic Africans in the community. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas Montgomery County and surrounding jurisdictions have become the primary point of entry for African families coming to the United States, including the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and whereas the history of the United States is a rich and enduring tapestry woven by the threads of many remarkable lives, cultures, and events, the lives, work, and artistry of ethnic Africans have added strength, vitality, and purpose to that tapestry. And whereas the maturing ethnic African community continues to make great economic and cultural contributions to daily life in the United States, particularly in Montgomery County. Whereas our nation thrives as a country of immigrants, take note, and we are more vibrant and hopeful because of the talent, faith, and values of the ethnic Africans who have enriched our society and added to the strength of America. And whereas during African Heritage Month, we celebrate the contribution of ethnic Africans and pay tribute to the culture and bonds of friendship that unite the United States and the African countries. And whereas, as ethnic African immigrants arrive, they have planted the seeds of their traditions and values into our country's culture and society, and have strengthened our community through significant perspective experiences and cultural development. Now therefore do I, Mark Elrich, as County Executive, hereby proclaim September 2019 is African Heritage Month in Montgomery County. I encourage all our residents to celebrate the vibrant cultural and heritage of ethnic Africans in the community.
The past, or we will recognize you. So I hope that there will be no hard feelings. Thank you. So we have Tommy Washington. He has been recognized for extensive provision on health resources and services. Tommy Washington. She will be representing Kami.
Thank you. I'm accepting this on her behalf.
Thank you. Augustus Woyaha. He has been recognized for extensive provision of health resources and opportunities. Amazou or Coach Popo. He has been recognized for dedication to youth engagement program and his work in the community. recognized for standing commitment to promote STEM education. Excuse my pronunciation, Wadajo. He has been recognized for widespread promotion of performing arts and literature. Is the media. What could we do without the media? We have Isaac Asare. He has been recognized for exceptional use of digital media to share information and resources throughout Montgomery County and around the world. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have few citations from our council members, and I will welcome Will Joando to provide. Welcome. Council Will Joando.
I wasn't sure if we were going or not. Hey everybody. You look great. You look great. This is amazing. We're in our 11th year. As was mentioned, I stood up when the call was made. I'm an emeritus member of the AAG, so I'm not even going to say former emeritus, so I'm still on it. It's really great to be up here today for the celebration as my first as a council member here in Montgomery County, Nigerian American Council. And a lot of people don't know that 1 in 3 of our residents were born in another country in Montgomery County. And if you add their children like me, you get up to almost 45% of the county that were either born in another country or are the children of a parent or parents born in another country. Almost half of our population in Montgomery County. So when we have this conversation about diversity and inclusion, this is our community, this is who we are. It's not about accepting, it's about realizing that this is what has made us who we are and this is what makes us a great county. And so I always want to say that because we say minority, I don't even use the word minority because people of color are the majority in the county. And we should say we are all residents of the county, all our voices matter. And Africans, immigrants themselves are 20% of that 1/3, okay, and a large proportion of that community, and the second fastest growing. So we have large community. If you look at the Ethiopian community, we had the festival, this whole plaza, this whole center was packed last weekend. And you have 25, I think, Mark, was the number, last count, and growing. I know there's another Ethiopian businesses just in this area. You have Roger Miller, you have, that's not even adding the West African businesses that are here and coming, and the Southern African, I won't leave one out, the Eastern African, Northern African, okay, yeah, Central African, okay. But it's an amazing thing. So it's just really humbling to be up here, and I wanted to make a point to wear traditional clothing. I did so when I was sworn in, if you didn't see that. Because again, we need to normalize, this is who we are. This is not an exception. It's not something, this is who we are here in the country. So I'm going to read this proclamation. I'm going to invite my colleagues, council members, Albanaz, Hucker, and Katz to join me for this. And I know this is from all of us. Poor Councilmember Katz, I think I had an agbada on like Coach Fofo had. I kept hitting him during the swearing in as I gathered. But we looked through the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, proclamation. Whereas September is African Heritage Month in recognition of Montgomery County's diversity and welcoming environment, and the continental African community is the second fastest growing immigrant community in the county. And whereas 2019 marks the 11th year since the recognition and proclamation of September as African Heritage Month to recognize the economic contributions, the heritage, rich culture, and history of Africans in the county and the diaspora. And whereas the county's African Affairs Advisory Group serves as the liaison between the county government and the community, and advises the county government on all issues affecting continental Africans in Montgomery County, and advocates for policies and assists the community with access to available county resources. And whereas the African Affairs Advisory Group, in collaboration with community members and organizations, will celebrate with activities showcasing the talents, accomplishments, of Africans in the county throughout the month of September. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby recognizes September 2019 as African Heritage Month in Montgomery County, and recognizes the integral role of the African Affairs Advisory Group and the African immigrant community and their accomplishments that they have made in our community. Presented on this day, the 5th of September in the year 2019, signed by myself and the Council President, but all of my colleagues have participated. Congratulations on 11 years. Everyone else, I want that same picture. You know, we have three branches of government. We allocate the funding. Okay, so come on up, and we're going to take that same picture. Yes, Madam Chair, come to the front. Yeah, the chairs. And while we're
is Gabriel Acevedo, and I'm the state delegate for the 39th district here in Montgomery County. I represent the northwestern part of the county, so if you live in unincorporated Gaithersburg, Montgomery Village, Germantown, Clarksburg, or the town of Washington Grove, I'm honored to represent you, and feel free to reach out to me if my office can be of help. Let me just say, let me just say what an honor it is to be here amongst family as a member of the African diaspora, as someone who was born and raised in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago, but someone who was raised in a Pan-African household to not only understand one's history but one's place in the world, but the importance of building community and ensuring that we are dismantling the systems and the policies that continue to keep us from being our great selves, right? And so, I know this year is some say it's the 400th year of enslaved Africans being brought to the United States, and I push back on that because I think really what this is the 400th year of African resilience, but also what it is, it's a recognition that even before enslaved Africans stepped foot on this soil, that there was a history, and there still is a history that exists of a continent and a people that we need to know so much about, and so few of us actually really know that, right? And I'm not just talking about our community members, but also those who are not within the African community. So there's a lot of work in educating folks. And so now, as someone who represents the 39th district in the Maryland General Assembly, my goal is to always represent not just my district, but this diaspora, because there are lived experiences. There are lived experiences that we bring to these issues, and it's important for us to speak to those lived experiences, but also speak to the systems that, again, continue to oppress us, right? So I am just really proud to present this citation. And let me just say, I know some folks have mentioned the importance of diversity in Montgomery County, and we all know that. Diversity is our strength. But equally as important, it is inclusion. There's a difference between diversity and inclusion. Diversity is about numbers, inclusion is about intentionality, right? We know how many African people, both from the continent and the diaspora, that live in our county, and that's why we're trying to count you all, so please participate in the census. But it is about being intentional about including those voices and lived experiences in how we govern. So with that, I want to read off a citation that I would like to present to the African Affairs Advisory Group of Montgomery County, and It reads, "Be it hereby known to all that sincerest congratulations are offered to the African Affairs Advisory Group of Montgomery County in recognition of African Heritage Month 2019 and the significant achievements and contributions that continental Africans and the African diaspora have made and continue to make in the state of Maryland and the county of Montgomery County. Presented on this 5th day of September 2019 by myself, and I will also say that this is on behalf of the Montgomery County delegation, all of the state delegates and state senators, some of whom would have liked to be here but could not. I want to present this on behalf of the Montgomery County delegation. Let's continue to celebrate each other. Let's continue to celebrate African culture and learn a little bit more, right, about not just the continent, but people who have contributed so much, not just to this country, but to the world. So with that,
ውበታችን ነውና ታሪካችን ከሰበረከት ለሰጣው የአፍሪካ ምድር ገነት ነው። ጽጉር ጋሞ ታሪኩ ነው። አፍሪካ ሀገራችን ገነት ነው። ተሰባስበን ስንታይ ይኸው ሲያምርብን ውበታችን። ውበት ነው፣ ህብረት ነው፣ ወንድማማቾች ነን ዛሬ በአንድ ላይ ሲያምርብን ወዳጄ። Thank you so much.
Thank you to the county executive. Thank you to the council members. Thank you to the elected officials, embassy representatives, and all guests who were here this evening. We are so grateful and thankful that you are here to celebrate African Heritage Month, the Proclamation, with all of us. So let's give it a hand for African Heritage Month. Thank you so much. I'm Sambo Puje Fiako. Well, Dr. Sambo Puje Fiako.
That's right.
And I'm so humbled and honored to be able to step into the role of being a co-chair for the African Affairs Advisory Group this year. I would like to thank Rashida and Ermias. Thank you so much for your leadership over the past year. Me serving as a vice chair under your leadership, I learned a lot from you, and we will definitely build on all of the hard work that you both put into the group and serving the community this year. I like the idea of us talking about a new beginning, but I also really like the fact that Diane made it clear that we are building on our successes, that we are actually looking at a next chapter. We want to make stronger strides in the things that we have put so much effort into in making ourselves visible and making ourselves heard. And so I really do want to thank this county executive and your administration for your commitment to health equity as a component of your administration, because that really puts the issues that truly impact the African community at the forefront of the discussion in this county. I also am very proud of how far we have come as an African community, but we still have a long way to go. And I also want to make sure that I recognize our county council, and specifically council members Will Jawando and Nancy Navarro for the support of funding a FTE liaison for the African community. this will be instrumental in helping us meet our goals for this year. So thank you so much for your support of our community. So me and my fellow co-chair, we of course want to share with you all what our priority areas are for this upcoming year. So we know that there's so much to do, there's so much that we could put our focus in, but we really want to be very strategic and focused. So he will be able to introduce himself and talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that we do hope to accomplish and the purpose of our group. But I do want to highlight our 4 priority areas that we hope to address in this upcoming year as a leadership team. We definitely want to strengthen our partnerships. So as was mentioned earlier, really continuing to break down those silos between the various advisory groups. This is a very diverse community. We have a lot of more things in common than we have as far as differences, and so we really want to leverage all of our strengths, the things that we have in common, so that we can work together towards breaking down some of those structural barriers that impact all of us. We've been talking a lot about the census, we've been talking a lot about the things, so we really want to make us count. We want to make us count in more than one way. We want to actually count us by participating in the census, but we also want to make us count through improving civic engagement, making sure that we are registered to vote, making sure that we know that our impact is felt in this county. We are the 2nd fastest growing immigrant population, so we want that to be known. We also want to make sure that we are just improving our own structure, so building on those successes, making sure that we're documenting those successes. As Ivo was able to present earlier, we have a whole history in place. We want to make sure that that is documented, we want to make sure that that is known, and that we build upon that. And then, lastly but not least, we also want to make sure that we are engaging with the next generation. We have a lot of young people that want to be involved, that want to be engaged, and we want to use diverse methods to engage them, including social media, including engaging media outlets for things like Panifest, for things like this event tonight. We want to make sure that everybody knows, not just every African in the county knows, but that everybody knows about the African Affairs Advisory Group and the work that we are putting forth. So I thank you so much for entrusting me in this position for this year, and I will not let you down. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Let's try that again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. All right, thank you. Thank you, that's much better. I need to be encouraged. I'm new at this. All right. According to the 2014 American Community Survey data, Montgomery County is one of the top 10 destinations for African immigrants in the United States, second only to LA County, which has a population 10 times greater than Montgomery County. You guys should clap for that. That's incredible. Now you're probably thinking, why is that important? It shows that Montgomery County has progressive leadership that is committed to building strong communities and support progressive vision of inclusion and responsible governance, an ideal which makes this great nation of ours that it was founded on. Although I'm a Washingtonian native, but I've called Montgomery County my home for the past 20 years. However, not all residents have been fully able to participate in the opportunities that the county offers. On the national level, immigrants, particularly people of color, are increasingly becoming victims of harsh federal government policies, political attacks that create hostile environments and encourage discrimination. Locally, some of the challenges facing the African immigrant community includes, but not limited to, the shrinking supply of affordable housing, supportive health care, including mental health services, closing the achievement gap in Montgomery County schools, access to employment, and small business development opportunities. This is why I am hopeful and excited that our current county exec, Mark Elrich, and his team are committed to tackling some of these challenging issues. And they plan to do this by making MC more affordable and a welcoming county, by focusing on initiatives that make Montgomery County a place where all residents can pursue their dreams regardless of ethnicity, age, or economical circumstances. Developing a growing economy by creating a healthy business environment to attract companies while concurrently opening supportive centers to help new existing businesses, to include incubators where innovators can bring their ideas to the marketplace. Focusing on youth and families. As we all know, children are the future, but they need nurturing families for them to maximize their potential. Mark intends to provide adequate funding and supportive programs that alleviate stress on families through increased access to affordable housing. While all these initiatives are exciting, the county needs interaction and help from all of us, residents, to keep the leadership well informed about where our needs lie. That is why I'm extremely honored to be voted in by the African Affairs Advisory Board to be one of its co-chairs along with Dr. Su.
The leaders in Montgomery County government, Mark, and the members of the county council for being champions of an equitable and inclusive Montgomery County, for working forward for racial justice, for social justice and racial equity. Those are very important things to us. So I know what it is to be a closer. I know what the next thing that we're looking at, but I want to make a statement because sometimes the word doesn't get out about who our community is. I just want to make this statement to point out that the African immigrant community is part of an American tradition, a strong American tradition of coming across the globe to this country with one goal, and that's to better themselves and to better their families and contribute to the community. So we want to make sure that there's a clear understanding that the kind of media information that's out there, that we can push back against that. We realize that the members of the African community are strong, they're creative, they're courageous, and they're very disciplined. So this is what we're going to be working on to build better relationships so we can be more effective in the future. The last thing that I want to say is best is yet to come, because now we move to the next part of our program where we have entertainment and we have refreshments. So I'm going to turn this back to Matilda. Again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for participating this evening. Thank you very much.
It's just really good to see people organized and, being able to articulate their interests and, talk about what it means to be part of the community and what they hope to get, by being part of this community. I mean, it's good to see people engaged.
Yes, very much so.
You talked about, both the importance of being counted in the census, which is important, but also about participating more in political life in Montgomery County, more, being sure that your voices get heard so people know what your interests are. Because if we don't know what you're concerned about, we can't do the things we need to do.
And we thank you very much for being very open and receptive to our community. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely.